Hello again, viewers, and greetings, fellow space travelers. This is Thorn of Night, and welcome to episode 6 of my tree breeding guide for Minecraft for Forestry and Extra Trees. And in this episode, we are going to be going over the Teak and Kapok branch of the tree breeding experience. And to start things off, we have here the Teak tree, and it is created by using silver lime and jungle trees to get this thing. And you can see sort of how it looks here, all kinds of different heights and arrangements of leaves. Actually, I think there's only two kinds of arrangements of leaves. But anyway, you're going to need a little room to grow these trees, radius of 2 in order to accommodate the width of the leaves, and they can grow up to a height of 8 meters tall. These are the sorts of logs that you're going to get. That's the bark, and this is the interior. The sort of grayish color is the planks that you will get from processing the logs. And speaking of logs, each tree on average spanned over the course of 20 trees to get the average. You will get about 5.3 logs and about 3.5 saplings. So it is a positive yield tree, but there's, like I said, no fruit or anything like that you can get from them. It is a tier 3 tree, which means that it takes a tier 2 tree, namely the silver lime, in order to get this thing bred. So it's not the first thing you'll encounter, but it's pretty close. Let's go on to the next tree. This one is called the Kapok, and it requires a jungle and teak in order to get this. And it can grow to a whopping 23 tall. However, there is some range there. It can grow as short as, I think, 15 meters is the shortest one I was able to breed, at least on this map. Or not breed, but grow, rather. And as you can see, the trunks are kind of misshapen sometimes, but it only requires one sapling to grow one of these things. You can get vines by just simply planting them, so it's a cheap way of getting vines if you don't want to go get shears and transplant them yourself. You can just plant one of these and migrate vines elsewhere. But each tree on average will give you about 19 logs and about 6.3 saplings, and it only takes one sapling to get it, so it's a positive return tree, so you can sort of automatically farm this thing. There is no fruit or nut that comes from it, but you can get this sort of olivish, greenish kapok wood. You can see the planks and the logs here, and that's what the bark looks like. And it is a tier 4 tree. Moving on to the next one, we have the Myrtle Ebony, which is made by using the Kapok and the Teak together, and it can grow pretty high, to a height of 19. However, that 19 only counts that little top guy, so you might only want to calculate 18. It does need a little bit of breathing room to make it grow. However, you can have them come to a width of up to 5 radius away from the exterior of the 3x3 trunk that is needed to grow them, and it does take 9 saplings to get this thing to grow. So hopefully we can get 9 saplings out of a tree, and oh look, we can. Each tree can yield an average of 65.7 logs and 28.4 saplings, and you will get this nice ebony wood that you can see here, and that's what the bark looks like, but once again, no fruit and no nut comes from it. They do make an interesting little patch of trees. Every once in a while, it will just give you one single log, but as you can see, it used the entire 3x3 area to make this one tree. So it was actually, there is the center of this one, but it has a single log trunk, so you can't necessarily mold the trunks the way you want unless you have some spare ones. You can fill it in manually if you wish, but it's not really necessary. But anyway, this is a tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tree because it takes a tier 4 tree to make. But let's go ahead and move on from that misshapen tree to something a little bit more manageable. The black cherry. The black cherry comes from using the Myrtle Ebony and the hill cherry, which is from another branch. And it will get you this guy that looks sort of like a regular oak tree, only it's differently colored, especially on the bark. And these logs that you're going to get, the cherry wood logs, That's what the bark of the trunk looks like, and this is the core, the meat of it. It's not as pink as you might expect from other kinds of cherry trees. This is its own special kind of cherry wood, but that's what the planks look like. Now, this red stripe here signifies that this specific tree does not produce any new species of trees. It can be used in making hybrids, but nothing new here. The maximum height that you're going to want in order to accommodate all the different variations, as you can see here, is 7, and the width is a total of 5, or a radius of 2 between any surface and the sapling that you're using to make the trunk. Each tree will get you about 4.5 logs and just more than 3 saplings per tree. So this is one of those sorts of trees where you can have an automatic farm and not worry about it. And the tree, I thought for sure, was supposed to get some fruit. I may have accidentally disposed of it. Let's see here. Click on uses. I would feel horrible if this doesn't have the fruit in it. It is. It's supposed to have black cherries. I wonder why that didn't make it. Let's go ahead and add this to the chest so I can include that. Oh, not chest, cherry. That way I can add it to the map when I go to upload this, which I am doing the recording before I upload. That way I make sure that everything's in place. So I apologize for that being missing, but it will be in the final output. But anyway, that's the cherries, and you can squeeze the cherries for juice. That you can use in things related to forestry, and you can also eat them as food to get rid of some of your hunger. Not much, just some. But anyway, that's what the black cherry tree looks like, and the grove looks kind of neat, especially if you leave the saplings in. I like that kind of color of leaf block there. But let's move on from this tier 6 tree to this bright yellow wood from the old Fustic. The Myrtle Ebony can be bred with the Teak in order to get this guy, and it's a sort of a squat little club sort of shape. It can grow to a height of 6, doesn't need a whole lot of room, and they can grow pretty close together. It does need, in order for maximum capacity, a distance of 2. Hello, chicken. A distance of 2 between the sapling and any surface if you want to get the full shape of the tree. But what you're going to expect to get from the trees on average is about 4.6 logs and about 2.2 saplings overall. This one does not give you any fruit, but it does give you this Maclura wood, which, like you see here, is bright glaring yellow, and it's gorgeous, but it's just really bright. I'd almost call this like dandelion sort of, but that's what the meat looks like, and those are the planks. The bark doesn't look all that bright, but on the inside of that bark is just this gorgeous vibrant thing. Now for the people who download this map, I have some yellow wool here, and the reason for this is there are two new species of trees that have been added since I started this map that I've put over there, and I will get to those very briefly. But first, let me go ahead and cover the next one after I show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The old Fustic is a tier 6 tree. But let's go on to this, the Brazilwood. Here comes an egg. Go away. I don't want the egg. Get away from me. The Brazilwood, which is, once again, Myrtle Ebony and Teak, and will give you these tiny little things. They're very squat. They grow up to a height of 4, and in order for their maximum shape, you're going to need a radius of 2 out from the sapling to get it. This red wool here signifies that you're not going to be able to reasonably expect an automatic farm to work out with this tree. You can get 3 logs per tree, but fewer than 1, 0.85 saplings on average per tree. So you're going to need to use a grafter if you want to keep getting these trees. But you will get this Brazilwood that you can see here, this sort of purplish color, kind of neat with the purple meat on the inside, and even a slight pinkish, maybe lavenderish, I guess, color there for the bark. But that's what the Brazilwood is. Now, before I move on this way, let's make it morning and go take a hike down the Yellow Wool Road. Or take a flight over there to the 2 trees that have been added in the 1.1.7 update to Unleashed, which is what this map is using. And we have the Osange-Orange, or Osange, or Osage, or Osage, or however it's pronounced. I don't know. I should know, but I don't. But it uses the old Fustic plus the Kapok wood in order to make it, and you get these sort of bell-shaped trees, which grow to a height of 4, and I think they're all uniform as far as I can tell. I did test them, several batches of them, and that is a gigantic butterfly. I think that's an atlas. But they will need a radius of 2 or a total width of 5 in order to accommodate the leaf growth. You can get a positive yield from these saplings, which is why this is orange. However, you're not guaranteed to start off. If you plant one, you're not guaranteed to get one at first. Overall, you will get more than 1 sapling per tree, but it will take some doing. About every 3 trees, you will get 2 saplings. But I think that's right. No, every 2 trees, you'll get 3 saplings. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. But you will be getting this stuff called Osange-Orange or Osage, however you pronounce it, and they can also be used for eating or for making juice. And this tree has the red stripe, means that at this point there is no other species that can be created using this one. But let's move on to this next one here, which is called the pink ivory, and it uses that Brazilwood that I showed you earlier, but it also uses rose gum, which is from the balsa branch, and it will give you this really vibrant pink color wood meat and planks. Excuse me, I don't know where that came from, but the trees sort of look like, I guess, another sort of oak tree. They can grow to a width of 5 total or a radius of 2 out from the central sapling, and can grow up to a height of 7. So if you want to grow them in a confined area, you will have to keep that in mind. It has almost the same bark as that Brazilwood, but the wood that you're going to get is called pink ivory wood, and that's what this stuff is. You'll expect to get about 4.3 logs and about 3.3 saplings per tree, so it's another positive yield tree, and it is an end of the line. And I believe both of these are the same tier tree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 7 for both of them. And I have some groves of them over here for you to see how closely they can grow next to each other. Well, let's move on to the next guy. I'm stuck. The Purpleheart. This one uses the Brazilwood. Another egg. Go away. The Purpleheart uses the Brazilwood and the Kapok, and it is a much deeper purple meat and plank than the Brazilwood, and it can grow these club-looking trees that grow up to a height of 10 even, and they have, I think, as far as I can tell, the same shape for all of the leaf balls up there, and good. No, I don't want, no, leave. The logs and saplings that you're going to expect to get are 7.5 logs per tree, and only 1.7 saplings on average. It's a slow starter for getting an automatic farm of these going. You might want to use a grafter at first to get saplings out of each of those, but you'll get this Purpleheart wood. There's no fruit, no nut, or anything like that, but you do get this gorgeously bright purple, or deep purple rather. Speaking of gorgeous colors, next up is the Rosewood, and this is just really crimsony red. Again, it's the Myrtle Ebony and the Teak in order to make this, and you get these sort of mace-looking trees, and they have some variation in the heights and shapes of the leaves. and can grow to a maximum height of 9 and need, once again, 5 across or a radius of 2 out from the sapling. This is what the bark looks like, and this is the meat of the logs. You can expect to get 6.3 logs and 2.6 saplings out of each tree, so it's a pretty quick grower. No fruit or nut, but you do get this rosewood. No, go away. No rain. Moving on to the next one, getting close to done here. We have the logwood, which is rosewood from there and the kapok. And it is an end-of-the-line tree. You can see the red patch, sort of. See it there. And you get an average of 3 logs. I think all of these trees are identical, as far as I can tell. Even for getting the samples, it's 3 logs, but fewer than 1 sapling per tree. You cannot automatically farm these. You're going to need to use a grafter to get the saplings out of this thing. Once again, no fruit or anything like that, but as you can see, out of 20 trees, I got 14 saplings. That is just not going to work, and you'll get the logwood planks and logs out of these. I don't really know what sort of color to call that, but anyway, the saplings look kind of like, I don't know, a jungle birch. But this is a tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tree, because it does require a tier 6 tree to make. And that is that. So let's move on to the next one. Sort of a purplish looking tree, but it's not nearly as purple as the Purpleheart or Brazilwood. We've got the yellow Meranti, and I don't know why it's called yellow Meranti, but there you go. It uses the... I did that wrong. This is why I have not uploaded the Myrtle Ebony. That's what it is. Okay. I will have to go ahead and change this now. I apologize for making you watch me goof up here. So Myrtle Ebony and Kapok. Whoops. MYR. Okay. Myrtle, Ebony, and Kapok. Anyway, I'm sorry for that. These are some pretty interesting trees. They have a little bit of height variation, but the leaf blobs are pretty much the same throughout. They can grow up to a height of 23, and you can see some of that over here. And they, like the Kapok, have the weirdly shaped trunk bases. They do require 4 saplings in order to get them to grow, but the other stuff, these little blobs here, are just bonus material. You can expect out of each tree to get about 86.3 logs and about almost 14 saplings, so definitely enough to make an automatic farm. And the forestry farm does dig the log out from the very top of the trees. Any of the forestry or extra trees are accounted for by that automatic farm, so you don't have to worry about that. The saplings will come down, get scooped up, and you can just leave this species going on its own. There's no fruit or nut that comes from it, but you do get this mahogany wood. So it's called yellow Meranti. It's not yellow at all. It gives mahogany wood, but that's what this log and the plank is. It's mahogany, and there's just a lot of stuff that you can get out of this, a lot of output. And also, I don't know how well you can see that, but there is also some random generation of the vines, just like from its parent tree, the Kapok. And there you have a nice little grove of them over there, growing all bunched up next to each other. Now, this tree, I'm going to skip until the end of the episode. After this tree, it's called a Sipiri. I'll get back to this in just a moment. First, I'm going to go ahead and cover this one, the swamp gum. The swamp gum uses the yellow Meranti and the rose gum from another line of trees, from the balsa line. And I have it included in this one because it is much closer in shape and size to the Meranti than it is to the rose gum. And it is one of those trees that requires 4 saplings to make. It is a 2x2 trunk. It does need a radius of 4 out from the trunk in order to have enough room to grow. As you can see, it comes all the way up to the side of this little post here. And it can grow up to a height of 31. And that's measured over the course of several dozen height measurements and batches. So each tree will give you over 100 logs. It's a lot of wood that you can get from one tree. 4 saplings equals 100 logs. That's a nice return. 101.9, almost 102. And over 40 saplings on average from each one tree. There's, once again, no fruit or nut or anything that comes from it, but you do get this eucalyptus wood. And it is an end-of-the-line tree. No new species come from it at this point. And it is a tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tree. Now, let's go on to the Sipiri. But before we do this, I am going to have to do a break here because I have had to make a jungle Mistcraft age because there's no conditions in a super flat world that in this super flat world that will allow a Sipiri to grow. It must be bred and grown in a wet biome like a swamp or a jungle. It seems to be better in a jungle than a swamp. But I'm going to cut here. I'll be right back. Alright, to finish things off, we have the Sipiri tree, and this one uses the yellow Meranti and the Kapok in order to make it. And you can see because of the Kapok parent, it does have that tall feature. It does have some vines on it, and it does have that little clump that's uniform along with that little frilly leaf bit that comes out here. And it's nighttime, but that doesn't really matter. The width of it is going to be a total of 5, but the radius is going to need to be 2 out from the single sapling in order to accommodate the leaf ball up there. And you can see here that just like the Kapok, the trunks can have those little misshapen additional blobs on it, and these can grow up to a height of 22 blocks or meters, if you will. And let's see here, is that right? 22? Nope, that's wrong. Let's go ahead and fix this so that you have this for the download. It looks like 23. I may have miscounted. Yeah, that's 23. Sorry about that. Once again, oops. But the tree does not give any fruit or nut, but it does give this green heartwood, which you can see that green color there as well as in the planks. Each tree on average will give you about just under 32 logs and just under 5 saplings. So it is one of those fire and forget kind of trees with the positive return on the sapling yield. But this tree, which is a 3, 4, 5, 6, another tier 7, marks the end of this episode and this branch, the Kapok branch. So, thank you very much for watching and putting up with my couple of fixes. I'll call them fixes. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions or mockery, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond as quickly and thoroughly as possible. If you like this video and you like what I'm doing here, do feel free to give me a like. I appreciate that a whole lot. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you know when my future stuff comes out. But I'm going to go ahead and cut off here. So thank you once again for watching. This is Thorn of Night, and I will talk to you later.